The people that are watching this are in for a treat today, Keilah. You and
Hey,
I have been speaking about a topic that I know myself that I struggle with, and then I make progress, and then I struggle with, and then I make progress. And yes, I have learned a lot, a lot. And sometimes I need reminding. So let today be about reminding. So what am I even talking about? We're talking about the topic of resistance. What it is, how it shows up, how it literally impacts our life, and how the opposite of what we're doing is actually more helpful. So let's just start by saying, like, what for you, what is resistance? If I say to you, how would you define resistance in your own words? What would that be?
resistance for me, first words that come up is that feeling that says, no, stop, don't do that. Do it this way, thinking that you know better. And for me, I feel like that comes from a place of fear. It's the voice of fear.
Okay. So it comes up for you as the voice of fear. It's that something inside of you that's saying stop. And then with regards to, like, how does it feel?
It feels like anxiety. Sometimes it feels like a palpitation, or it feels like a knot in the tummy. And sometimes it might even hit you with a dizzy spell. Okay, I speak for myself. Sometimes it'll even hit the dizzy spell, depending on what it is. Depending on the, I want to say the volume of emotion related to the resistance. Does that make sense?
Mm, absolutely. Absolutely. So for me, resistance really is like I have a certain idea with my human brain of how things should be, how people should be, how my day should go, what my bank account needs to look like, what my relationships need to look like, how people should show up, how I should be feeling, and when it is not that, it shows up for me as resistance. And it is 100%, like you say, Keilah, it is anxiety 101. It is like, okay, something's going on, something's shouting at me. And yeah, I mean, the controller in me, the person who thinks they know better, the person who has lived with anxiety, literally like high functioning anxiety since I can remember. Sometimes needs some great reminders of what is actually going on and what I do that makes it worse. So why do we have these feelings? So we've said what it is. It's a feeling. It shows up. It's the voice in your head that says no, and it's like I want it a certain way, and it isn't that, and then in comes the anxiety. So it's kind of like for me, it's I call it trudging through syrup, swimming upstream, trudging through syrup. You feel like you're forcing things, forcing an outcome, forcing life. It's a very uncomfortable place to be. Now, why do we have resistance? Why does this happen? Why do you think it happens?
Well, based on my own experience, I just know that when it feels like sinking sand, I know that it's an earlier version of me that became afraid. If fear is the emotion that I'm linking it to, then for me it's about tagging which version of me was afraid when something similar to this happened or made me feel like that. I've already forgotten the question. Was that the
Mm.
question?
Yeah, so what does it look like? What is it actually? You said what it is, but
Yeah.
I want, yeah, so in more detail.
What does the resistance look like?
Yes. I mean, why is there resistance? Why is there resistance? We're into the why now.
Well, the why for me is fear. It's fear based. So, and then the what does it look like is procrastination. Firstly, um,
Okay.
taking a long time. Sometimes it's just taking a long time. Sometimes there is procrastination first, and then finding valid other things to do before doing that. I'm a big supporter of that, apparently. But the difference is I'm aware of it. So it's about catching myself in the procrastination, telling myself you're procrastinating, asking myself, what are you afraid of? And then breathing through that. So that's what it looks like for me. That's what it feels like for me. And yeah, those are my top
Okay.
two. Is definitely the procrastination and finding valid, important things to do otherwise.
Okay, amazing. So, I mean, we are so similar in that way. And for me, it really shows up. Okay, so firstly, for me, it's always rooted in fear. So I'm exactly on the same page as you. It's always rooted in fear. We don't know this. There is a deep subconscious fear that is kicked in. And I'm going to name some of them in a moment. But once this fear kicks in, our body's automatic response is, I mean, it's actually beautiful. Protect her, protect her, protect her. And so for you, it's in avoidance. So if you're avoiding the work, if you're procrastinating, if you don't have to look at what has to be done, that's the way your body protects you. Okay. There's so many ways that our bodies try to protect us. With me, it's busyness. It's like tasking, getting a to-do list and just freaking knocking those things out of the park. Tick, 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 tick. Because as long as I'm busy and as long as I'm doing tasks and as long as I'm getting through my to-do list, then I don't have to sit and actually work on that resistance. And so the problem is, and this is very important, is we notice the behavior. We know we procrastinate. We know that we're busy, busy bees, and that's our like how we're running the show. But we don't realize that you can't address the behavior unless you get to the root of the problem. So we beat ourselves up and we go, I'm such a procrastinator. I'm so lazy. I'm such a perfectionist. I actually want to go there for a moment. What are the labels we give ourselves in the moments where actually our little body is just trying to protect ourselves? Like it hasn't been updated. What are the labels we give ourselves? Lazy, procrastinator, like I say, workaholic. What else? Anything else that people would resonate with?
Sometimes it's just people talking down on themselves, saying that they would say something like, I am so bad at, or I'm always doing this, or why am I always doing, or why do I always
A lot of negative self-talk. You set this whole list of things to do today. You didn't get through it. You're so lazy. You don't get things done. Oh, you're ADHD. We literally label our behaviors, not realizing actually it's just an automatic thing that our bodies are trying to protect us from, which I think is just so beautiful. It's just outdated. Okay, so another thing that I think that why we resist is because we have a very conditioned, specific way of how we think the world should be, how we think people should be, how we think our day should be, and when it's not that, it's like automatically, even though we're completely safe, automatically we think that there's something wrong. Like, think about it. Like, when it's raining, we think there's something wrong. We think that there should be sunshine. When it's too hot and it's been drought for a few days, we think it should be raining. Like, if we're fat, we need to be thin. If we like, it's if we do you know, like there's such a myriad of examples of just how we are conditioned to believe people and the world are supposed to be. And when it's not like that, we get resistance in our bodies.
100%. And I actually, if I may, I'm going to go here. I think it's going to be an interesting in. So for me, breaking out of that was on my journey, which is not the same as everybody else, but learning about the difference between expectations and expectancy. So for me, what worked for me is that I had to catch myself in the moment that there was a disappointment and identify that I had an expectation. And that expectation was created by the fact that my mind had been conditioned by whatever, doesn't matter, there's a whole list of those as well, had been conditioned by a list of things which created that expectation. And then I became disappointed in something outside of myself. further to that, giving it my power and then being angry at it. When actually, what is so much more empowering is taking your power back, realizing that there was an expectation. It was created by the conditioned mind from whoever. If we're going to overthink it, go into the story. If not, we just say, okay, there was a conditioning. It happened. Is it real? Is it true? How does this feel? You know, do you feel heard? Thank you for protecting me and going through this whole scenario. So the reason I brought that up is because I think that you and Alma have a different perspective on expectation.
Go for it.
Tell me.
So,
No,
I
you
mean,
tell me.
so I mean,
I had seen
yes, yes,
got a
yes.
delay.
So it's so
I'd seen
interesting
a
because yeah, there is a bit of a delay.
So I just wanted to hear more about that from you.
Yeah. So it's come up 2 or 3 times this week in voice notes. I did post something yesterday, and it was like, when I have a very specific way of how I think people should be and life should be, and it doesn't happen exactly like I would like it, then I'm left disappointed, angry, resentful. And those things outside of me are not in my control. So I can either go into the world with something which I've just tweaked the wording to and call it preferences. This is something that I would prefer. I would prefer somebody to greet me when they walk through the door. But when they don't, I didn't get what I preferred today.
That's
And it's
lovely.
such a small tweak. It's such a small tweak. And think about in a given day how many expectations we have that are not met. And this is important. It's not just externally, it's internally. Like I would have preferred to have gone to gym today, but I didn't. And I don't always get what I prefer. It's so much gentler and softer as opposed to, oh, I didn't meet my expectations. Because that comes with, I've let myself down. I always do this. And some people do believe that, you know, it's just a get out of jail free card. But Keilah, I don't know about you. Like, I've just realized I have to be gentle. Like, I have to be gentle on this healing process with myself. And it's funny because we're so different. Some people have to be harder on themselves. That's the truth. Not everybody has to be more gentle with themselves. Some people have to be harder on themselves because they're too gentle on themselves.
I
So
know that
tell me, yes.
people who are too hard on themselves. So I have yet to meet the ones that aren't hard enough. But now coming to think of it, yes, I can think of a list of people, not necessarily clients, but people that I know and colleagues and ex-colleagues. And it makes perfect sense now that you've said it. It's just opened up a whole umbrella in my mind. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, because it's so important that we state right here, right now, that it's not one size fits all. And just because we are saying this doesn't mean that that's going to relate to somebody else, because we are such different human beings. So when you heard the thing about expectations and preferences, and you said you got a different perspective, what was that?
No, not at all. I just read a part of it. I hadn't gone into it. I didn't click on it. I just
Okay.
know that you said you
Yes.
I don't have the write up in front of me, but it was the way in which it came across was a different perspective on the word
Mm,
expectation, and I love that,
mm,
obviously, and
mm,
why I love that. So I just wanted to hear that from you on your interview for you to go there because it was
mm,
a beautiful perspective and I love the way that it comes across when you say
mm,
it.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful. So let's get back into resistance. So I mean, I mentioned this on the last interview that we did together, but it's one of the most life-changing things. I read a book by Byron Katie called Loving What Is. It's still the book I give to people when it's their birthday. Everyone has their favorite book. That's mine. And in there, she says, if you fight reality, you lose only 100% of the time. In other words, every single time you fight reality, you lose. How do I know I'm losing? Because I feel the resistance in my body. So it's a fighting of what is unfolding in front of me exactly as life is presenting it to me. And all of it is always out of my control. Because when I am in a flow, that same stuff will be happening, but it won't be bringing up those emotions because I'm in flow. So let's go there for a moment, Keilah. We've spoken about resistance. We know how it feels. We know why it shows up. And what is the opposite of that? Flow. What is flow for you?
Well, flow is calm. Flow is not palpitations in my throat. Flow is not the turning butterflies in my tummy. Flow is that feeling right before you fall asleep and that feeling just as you're waking up, before the anxiety kicks in.
Like the half a
So
millisecond.
literally it's just a moment. It's just a moment. So
Yes.
yes, that's what flow is. And
Okay.
often we do have between, all the anxiety and whatever, but we do have those moments
Mm.
where things, like for me, when I'm financially secure, I'm in full flow. So my practice has been, even when I'm not, or even if
Beautiful.
I'm not, I'm still going to be in flow, which has been the biggest challenge because it's the one and only thing, that root of all evil. But once you get to conquer that, so yeah, before I get carried away, that's my idea of flow. That's what
Yeah.
comes to mind when you say what is.
As you're talking, I'm thinking about all the different areas in our life where we would possibly feel resistance. So some people, you've spoken about finances, and I truly believe that everybody has their cross to bear. Some people, have a very big loss. Some people struggle financially. Some people struggle with their health. I truly believe that every single person has their cross to bear. But what you're talking about is where the growth really lies, and I can so relate to this, is where when the money's there, you're in flow. So now the money's not there. How can I be in flow when the money's not there? And that really, I want to pause for a moment. The reason that we don't flow is because we think that it means we have to accept and like what is happening. We have to be like, yay, this is good, gratitude, it's all good, everything's good, and I have to actually like that I have no money in my bank account. And I actually have to like that I'm sick in bed for 3 weeks. Because, that's no, it's not that. And I get so many people resistant to this idea. We accept the things that are coming to us because what is the alternative? Resistance, fighting, swimming upstream, trudging through syrup. So acceptance is I don't like this and I wouldn't have chosen it, but if I fight it, I'm going to suffer. And I don't
Mm.
like to suffer. I don't want to suffer. So for me, acceptance is like this is what life is presenting to me right now, and everything is happening as it's happening. I can either fight it or not. Like if I'm sitting here now, my daughter walks into the room. I wouldn't have chosen that, but it's happening. So in that moment, I can choose resistance or flow. And the resistance will be coming from a fear. So what would that fear be in that moment? What are other people going to think? This is not perfect. Like all those underlying things. But flow is like I have no control over her coming in right now. So how am I going to handle that situation? And Byron Katie, I mean, I love the way that she articulates that book. But she says like if in the moment exactly, so she's sitting behind her laptop and she's working and she's totally in flow. She's creating content and she's just in heaven. And then someone knocks at the door. And she gets up. She can either be really irritated because they've disturbed her flow, or she can flow with what's happening at the door because that's what life's presenting to itself, to her. And as we go through our day, how many moments of that is happening? It's happening all the time. You open up the milk, it's sour, you can't have milk in your coffee. You put, well, luckily this hasn't happened for a long time, but you switch on the light, there's no electricity. You get into your car, the petrol light is on. Like, think about how many moments in the day things are happening that we wouldn't choose if we had the choice. But we don't. And
Sure.
that's for me is fully coming into a space of acceptance despite the fact that I might not like it and I might not choose it.
100%.
So like the resistance to this concept is exactly what this is about. Like this interview is exactly about that. So for me, there are alternatives and we all have choices. And once I know something, and once I know something fundamentally is not working, how do I know? Because I can feel it. My life is harder. I'm more snappy. I'm more irritable. I'm not the version I want to be. Then I know something's not working. And then I can either try change the external stuff or the internal stuff. And trying to change the external stuff has never worked. When you find a way for that to work, please, let's talk about it, because I don't know how to make that stuff work.
It's because I did for so long. That's what I did for so long and it wasn't working. And I love that you said that because it's exactly what I've been feeling all along is that when the stuff on the outside isn't in alignment, you need to go inside and then and love what's going on in here. So
Mm,
if it is, for example, about whatever the petrol light, then literally stop. Don't think about how you're going to go and put petrol in the car. Stop and give yourself love. The rest is
mm,
going to fall into place.
beautiful.
I've had 1,000 examples, even just over the last week, of amazing things that have happened. Yesterday, for example, I was trying to I've been trying to open a paper fast account. I needed it to be open yesterday. For whatever reason, it's supposed to be open after 24 to 48 hours. But hey, the whole of yesterday, it was still not open. And I went in and I made peace with it. And I said, okay, it's fine. I will figure something else out. You don't need to open in time for me. Because who am I to be asking you? And I had this full on conversation with it, just releasing it and letting it go. You don't owe me anything. Even though you told me 24 to 48 hours, I'm okay with that. I'm letting you go. And it's true as Bob. It was within minutes after that, I received an email. Now, that doesn't matter whether it is or isn't manifestation or whatever we want to believe it is. But the more that I believe that that worked is all that matters. Whether someone else outside of me believes that it works or not, that's irrelevant. But if I believe it works, I'm going to do more of that. And you know what that's going to do? It's going to raise the vibe for me and it's going to raise my frequency. And so the frequency on the inside is up. It's going to attract more of the outside up too. And that to me is what resisting the resistance means.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, there's two things I want to comment on that you said. The first one is you see your petrol tank, your petrol light is on, and you stop and you love yourself. So, because that is resistance that you're noticing, the minute your eyes took in the fact that you need petrol, and I'm speaking for somebody who like is, where the freaking hell am I going to fill up my petrol tank? I'm not just like a random light that's going on and I'm going to go put in petrol. For us, what do we normally do? We push harder in that moment and we try fix and we try control harder. You open up your laptop and you see 250 emails which came in overnight and you feel that resistance. And what do? We push harder. And that's the magic of this that we're speaking about. Pushing harder is not the answer. You have to take a moment to take the deepest, most conscious, most loving breaths, and in that moment, give yourself whatever it is you need. So sometimes if I say to them, I'm like, holy moly, I can feel that. Okay, it's big. It's big. I can feel it. What do I need? And when I ask that question, it varies. Sometimes it's I need a breathe. Sometimes it's I need to go have a cup of coffee and come back. Sometimes it's I need to just sit here and I know just a little hug. It's all gonna be okay. I promise you, you're gonna get through. Sometimes it's just a little pep talk. But we don't do that. We push harder. And that pushing harder, have you ever noticed when you're struggling to get something done, the harder you push, the quicker it does not get done. It gets done slower. Whereas if you just go, hold on, I need a break, close your laptop, leave for, it can be 5, 10, 15 minutes, come back, boom, 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 everything starts to flow. So it's that moment of noticing, which we don't give ourselves permission to do because it's not natural. It's not natural when you're feeling urgent to get things done to put the brakes on and to stop. It's not. It's the complete opposite of what we've always done. It's the complete opposite of what we have always done. So pausing, I speak about pause land. It is the most magical place in the world to go to. It's you notice the resistance, you pause, you go to pause land. And in that moment, something magically shifts. Energetically, universally, you can think it's woo-woo. But just like you, Keilah, just like you, have so many real raw examples of this. So I'll give you one. I'm driven so much about time and people being on time and people showing up on time and when people don't, it creates so much resistance in me. And so I will try everything to control that they're on time. I'll send them reminders to be there on time. I'll plead with them to be on time. I'll tell them how important it is for the company for them to be on time. I'll try every single thing you can try. And then I'll be like, you know what? This is resistance. This is forcing. This is not in my control. And I'm like, bugger it. I'm going to sit behind my laptop and work while, I don't know, while they're not on time. And I'm working, and guess what? They're 2 minutes early. Oh, and I'm like, how? How is the very thing I've been forcing for so long not a thing anymore just by me not pushing it? And I've seen it again and again and again. You said it for yourself. You were like, oh, the pay fast, the pay fast. You know what? If it's meant to be today, it will be today. But it's not gonna, the world's not gonna come to an end. Oh, hold on. I let go of the resistance, I got into flow, and then I got the email. And that is the magic of flow. And it can be woo-woo, but you only need to see it once or twice for you to actually see that resistance is the energy that pushes away the very thing you want. I'm going to say that again. Resistance is the energy that pushes away every single thing that you want. And so what is the opposite of that? It is acceptance. Acceptance. And you don't have to like it. You know, I always say that we are actually little 5, 6-year-olds walking around in adult bodies. The minute something happens that we don't like, we throw temper tantrums. And the temper tantrums vary to withdrawing, to ignoring, to shouting and screaming. And I don't know, like we have this way that we don't get our way. We stomp and so the moment we notice it, for me, the solution is notice the resistance, take a moment, go to pause land, which is a magical place, ask myself, what is it that I need right now? And give myself that. And then come back and then notice what happens.
And that's beautiful. I mean, for me, the words that come up for me in moments like that, and what happened yesterday, and then I've realized that it's been programmed now, is that quote, "It's what you resist persists. What you resist persists." And I've heard it all my life, and I really didn't, it never clicked. I was like, what are you even talking about? What you resist persists. It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense until one day it just clicked. The one day when I dropped my guard and I accepted, then it clicked. And then every time after that, whenever there's been resistance, it comes up. Those are the words. What you resist persists. And then, okay. And it's not always easy to just say, oh, oh no, listen, for me, I'm saying it's not always easy for me to say, oh, what do you need? Because I'm cheeky. that little 5 or 6-year-old in me is flipping cheeky. So she'll say, don't ask me what I need. You know what I need. And then there's other me saying, no, I don't. Tell me. And so there's this whole wall going on between the two of them, which drags it out, the resistance even longer, until eventually it's like, hey, committee in my head, stop. Let's just breathe. Let's get out. Let's get away from the situation and completely distract ourselves just for a moment so that we can come to what you call pause land. And that everything
Beautiful.
come back.
Beautiful. I love that. So there's just some practical things, because we very much here in the space like to give people some real practical things, so that it's not just knowledge, that they can actually go and try some things and see how well they work. So I have this thing, it actually came from Friends, my favorite series that my daughter's actually into at the moment. And it's one of the episodes where Ross goes, "That's not what you want." So the minute something happens, that's like exactly the opposite of what I want. Just by saying the words, "That's not what you want," it shifts everything. The email comes in, you get terrible news, and I can sit there and spiral, or I can go, "That's not what you want." In that moment, it puts things into perspective. Like, I'm not choosing this. This is not something I'm asking for. This is not what I want. But now I can actually deal with it. So it's such a practical thing that people who embrace it, they say it makes such a big difference. So there's that's not what you want tool. Another thing that I like to do, which is the complete opposite of what I've always done, is this is really good. Like, surprise! Surprise! This is really good. I don't know why this is happening. And right now, everything inside of me is telling me the opposite. But if I sit with this, I know that when I get through this, something is going to be revealed. And sometimes the thing that's revealed is just, did you see how strong you were? Did you see how well you handled that? Did you see how far you've come? Say that again.
Testing your resilience. That's what it is. It's a test of resilience.
Testing your resilience. Or I don't even like the word testing, because when I'm in a test, I always feel like, why do you want it? Like, I don't know, there's resistance to the word testing. For me, it's showing me, pointing to my growth and showing me, look how far you've come. But I won't notice that if I don't take a moment to go, okay, surprise, surprise, this is happening. It's so good. It's so good. If you say this is so good, this is so good for like 5 minutes, something is going to shift energetically and you're going to be able to deal with the thing that you're resisting better. Okay, another thing that I absolutely love is my God box. Some people call it a worry box. And I've come to realize it's a box that you literally have to seal. You can't be able to take the stuff out of there, because this is what we do. We let it go. We go, you know what, I'm not going to worry about this. Energetically, I'm going to stop resisting it. And then we flow and we feel so good and life gets easier. And then we go, okay, hold on. What if I try to do that again? We take the control back. So this practical activity is, you seal the guard box with masking tape, with freaking, I don't know what, if it's a proper wooden box, you get a key, you lock it, you throw the key away. And then you have a little slit in the top and you write every single thing you're trying to control that you're not in control of the outcome of. You write it on a piece of paper, you put it in the top of the slit of the guard box, the blessing box, the worry box, and then you literally have to stop worrying about it. And you have to say things to yourself like, I don't know how this is going to be sorted, but I've handed it over and now I know it will, because here's the thing, Keilah, it always does. Every single thing we've ever worried about has always passed. Up until now, every single thing has passed, which means it had to have been sorted out. So those are my 3 little practical tools. I don't know, how do you handle your worries or your resistance, or practically that you could share?
The first one that comes to mind is really I mean, it's a common one, but it's not an easy one. It is just sitting with it, because a lot of the time we try, or let me not say we, let me say, sometimes people try to gaslight themselves into thinking that they're not feeling what they're feeling, and they try to avoid it. And and they try to pretend that it's something else instead of just stopping and acknowledging and allowing yourself to throw the tantrum and allowing yourself to feel it. And that might look like a whole lot of different things. So literally, if you need to pull over the car, stop and have a meltdown, then have that meltdown so that you can get that out of the way and carry on with your flow. So that's number one. And number two is fire burning. And I don't need to go into a whole big explanation of it, but for me, fire burning has always been the biggest tool to be able to release. And you can choose when you do it, whether you do it alone. It's actually a very sacred practice. So just do it alone. Sit down with yourself, whether it's once a week or once a month, and cut a whole bunch of little slips of paper. And on there, you can choose how big the paper is. If you want to write an A4 for each thing, you can. And if you want to write just one word, then you can too. That sums up everything that you could have been feeling. And you literally sit and you burn it, or you put it in a something and you burn it, whether it's in the bra or in its own little container or an ashtray or whatever it is. And then afterwards, you take those ashes and sprinkle them onto where plants are not growing. And you watch how your plants start to grow because of
What? That's
the
crazy.
and you start to actually reap the rewards of letting go, because letting go is exactly what you need
Wow.
to do to be able to stop resisting. So when you were speaking about something now, it made me remember, my favorite story to tell, and I'll try to keep it short, is about the taxis. We know how a lot of people behave when taxis upset them. But and I was one of those people. I was one of those people too. When I was working 9 to 5 and all of that, and I had to get somewhere at a certain time. I never got somewhere at a certain time, whether I left early or not. And it didn't change the fact that taxis drove like that, or BMW drivers, for that matter, or any
Or
road, or
people texting and driving, or yes.
exactly people. That's what's happening. It's life. It's happening, and I had to learn to control that. But the biggest challenge for me in the beginning was the taxi drivers. And it got to a point where, I can't remember what you said earlier, but that's the first memory that came up for me, is that I would sit in traffic and this taxi would have pulled in front of me. And old me was still there while new me was trying to figure herself out. And I'm going, I'm so grateful that you just pulled in front of me right now, because I know that you're saving me from something down the line. And I had to keep on doing that. But I'm not talking about once or twice, I'm talking years. Until now, I see them coming. I slow down my car. I let them in front of me, because who am I to stop you, actually? Who gives me the right to
Yeah.
stop you to pull in front of me? I can make an accident further down there. I'm going to keep myself safe here. So that was a beautiful
And
reminder
also,
that I actually forgot.
how long in the day? Like you're probably driving 2 hours to work, 2 hours from work, and how many times is that going to happen in a day? Like that little bit of releasing. We do it for us because our inner peace is. That's honestly the biggest thing for me. Like you can't put money on inner peace, but I have to create that inner peace, and it's going
Yes,
to come from accepting life on life's terms, even when I don't like it. And I think it's important to say that it doesn't happen overnight. Like you say, you had to do it again and again and again. But now, when you look back, you do not have the same internal reaction as you did, and now driving is different for you. Um,
exactly.
so I mean, I think this has been amazing. And the next thing that comes up, which we're going to do the next interview on, for me is letting go. Like I want to speak more about letting go because this has kind of been the introduction to letting go. Because when we feel that resistance, we're not in flow, which means we have to accept, which means we are now letting go. And letting go on its own is one of the hardest things, but also the most liberating and freeing things in the whole wide world. So I think that's what it's branching off organically to. You're always the one that says, it'll be what it will be. It will come to us when it comes to us. Let's see. And there we go. It already did.
Well done, because your awareness was sharp there.
Okay, so Keilah, let's just, if you can just give whoever's watching this, just your biggest take home from this. Like, if they take this thing home with them from this time together, what would that be?
I think the biggest thing actually is as you said, I can't even find my own word for it now because I'm only thinking about your pause land theory, but it is about stopping. You got to stop. Stop what's happening so that you can stop what's happening. That's it. What you resist persists. So that is the biggest take home, because everything else will fall into place after you've stopped.
Yeah. And that's totally in our control, which is so exciting. Like the pausing, that's in our control. Like that's fully in our control. So for me, the biggest take home is my inner peace is my biggest asset. My biggest asset. And you cannot put money on inner peace. It's the very thing I strive for from the moment I wake up until I go to bed at night. And that is created not from resistance. That is created from flow and from accepting life on life's terms. And I just want to say, like, I'm not going to get it right every time. But every time I do, it's a little bit more, it's a little step forward. And they do add up. They add up very, very quickly. We've just got to keep going until eventually you look back like you did with the taxis and the traffic. And you look back and you go, hold on, like I am not responding at all. My automatic response, my automatic trigger, my resistance, my anxiety, it didn't happen in the exact same situation. But that takes time and patience. And that's what most of us don't give ourselves.
Thank you, Candace. This was so cool.
Thank you, Keilah. So I just want to end off by saying we have an amazing Facebook community called the Grit Quest Facebook community. We're going to put the link to that Facebook community in the description of this video. Please, please, please join up. It's a network of people that are really looking for that inner peace, supporting each other, holding each other, validating each other, and making sure that we make progress, because we need spaces like this. Life can be hard and it can be challenging, but really it's this community. I'm so excited about it, and it's just growing every single day. So please, please, please sign up. We can't wait to meet you there. And then I'm going to see you soon.
Yes. Thank you, Candace. Lots of love.
Mwah.